Folks, the reason we can bring you breaking news, uncensored daily shows, and of course, Ben React, is because of your support. If you're not yet a member, now would be the time to join the fight. It's just beginning, folks. Go to dailywire.com/subscribe. Use code TRUMP for 47% off your new Daily Wire Plus annual membership. Well, folks, Joe Biden just went to the Rose Garden and he spoke for a few minutes about the election. And man, that dude is so happy. Honest to God, he hasn't been that happy since the day that he won the 2020 election. He has not been that happy. Seriously. They ousted him. He's pissed about it. He hates Kamala Harris. He hates his entire team. He hates everyone. And now she lost. And he is overjoyed. He can now go down in the history books as the only man who beat Donald Trump. He was the interregnum. He was the guy who had stopped the Donald Trump train for just a brief moment. And until he was ousted, he was the guy who was going to lose to Donald Trump. He thinks he still would have won. All politicians, you should just know this, I know too many politicians, all politicians think they were destined to be president of the United States. They all think it. And so Joe Biden really thinks he would have won that election if he'd been left in place. And then he was unceremoniously ousted after he went brain dead on stage in a debate with Donald Trump. But not only was he ousted, he wasn't ousted for like a young, up-and-coming, hot politician, somebody who would have actually been somewhat popular with the base. He was ousted for the person he had put in as vice president as a sop to Barack Obama, a person who had called him a racist and a possible rapist in the middle of the 2019-2020 election. I don't know if you recall all the way back, but in the 2019 election, Kamala Harris, running against Joe Biden for the nomination, went on stage and suggested that if Joe Biden had had his way, he would have prevented her from being bused to a desegregated school, that he was actually a racist. And then later in the campaign, when there were allegations by a woman that Joe Biden had touched her against her will, Kamala Harris said that she believed the women because she believes all women, and she thought maybe Joe Biden should theoretically step out of the race. Then, because Black Lives Matter broke out and because Joe Biden was trying to appeal to black women or something, Barack Obama went in his ear and said, hey, you should pick Kamala. She's great. She's awesome. She is so brat and joy. And Joe, because he figured, okay, I'm an old white guy, young person of color, lady. Okay, we're gonna like diversify the ticket. So he picks her. Jill was pissed. Jill did not like it. Okay, Jill does not like Kamala Harris. Jill thinks Kamala Harris is trash. Joe Biden now understands why that is. Joe Biden feels that he was ousted for an absolute incompetent. And he was caught on tape saying that to Barack Obama. There are lip readers who were pointing out that he was saying to Obama that she was not qualified, she was not going to be a good candidate, she was running worse than he would have. And Obama, to be nice, was agreeing with Joe Biden. Folks, now more than ever, it is vitally important to support the companies and brands that share your values and your causes. Pure Talk isn't just another cell phone company. They're actively supporting our veterans, American jobs, and yes, conservative media that tell the truth. And here's the thing. They're doing all this while giving you access to America's most dependable 5G network at half the cost of those woke carriers who spend their money on DEI initiatives instead of customer service. But it gets even better. Right now, when you switch to Pure Talk on a qualifying plan, you'll get 1 year of Daily Wire Plus Insider completely free. But the only way you can get this special offer is by going to puretalk.com/Shapiro or call and mention my name. Stop overpaying for your cell phone plan. Go to puretalk.com/Shapiro today. Switch to a qualifying plan. Get 1 year free of Daily Wire Plus Insider. So now imagine you're Joe Biden and you go to sleep early on election night because, hell, it's called night and you can't really stay up that late. You're Joe Biden. You wake up in the morning to the news that Kamala Harris has in fact lost the election to Donald Trump. That basically they got rid of you to bring in a worse substitute. That you are the starting pitcher. And you are in a competitive game. You'd given up 5-6 runs in 6 innings. You were sort of battling it out. And they yank you before you can actually take the L. It's a 6-6 game, and they yank you before you can take the L. So on the one hand, you're kind of ticked, because theoretically you could have gotten the W, you could have gotten the win. But then they put in somebody you hate as the reliever, and that reliever proceeds to blow the ball game. You're a little happy? You're a little happy? Because it turns out the L ain't on you, it's on her. And not only that, you resent the fact that your legacy has been destroyed by the forcible removal of you from the ticket. Now listen, all of that's Joe Biden's fault. He theoretically could have come into office, said, listen, I'm going to serve this term out, but I'm not running for re-election, I'm just too old. And so I'm handing it off to Kamala, or to whomever, or we're going to have an open primary, but I'm not running for re-election. This is, by the way, kind of what LBJ did in 1968. There was a series of open primaries. Hubert Humphrey ended up winning those primaries, but LBJ had given enough time for the party to get it to act together. Joe Biden really didn't. So when Kamala Harris blames Biden, she's not totally wrong. He dropped out super late, but the truth is she never would have won an open primary because she's a bad politician. She probably would have lost an open primary. The only way she ever would have become the Democratic nominee is precisely the way that she became the Democratic nominee. So he has every right to be angry at her. He has every right to be supremely annoyed with her and with the entire Democratic Party upper echelon that decided to destroy him and destroy his legacy and destroy his presidency in favor of her, and then she loses. So no wonder Joe Biden was grinning ear to ear. Now he says he's going to make every last day of this administration count. We can hope and pray that isn't the case, because these lame duck sessions tend to be truly awful. Barack Obama's waning days in office, that's when he pursued an enormous number of executive actions that were really bad. Trump undid most of them, but they were really, really bad. You can see the same thing happening here from Joe Biden. However, the big takeaway here is the rift in the Democratic Party is complete. It is along every possible fracture line, and it ain't going to grow back together anytime soon.